If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles.
Alright, time to talk about economy. Economy is the engine of your war machine, and so you should always pay attention to your economy. We only have 3 buildings, so it's pretty simple. Industry is increasing the resource production of the province in which you build it, and only that province where it is built. That is a very important detail. 1 industry, 1 province. Same for the recruitment station. A recruitment station is going to increase the manpower production in your province. This way you can make more armies, right? And then finally you have the propaganda office, and the propaganda office is increasing morale. If you have a low morale and you build it, then the morale will increase, but only in the province where it's built. The recruitment station and the propaganda office, you can upgrade them to level 3, and the industry, you can upgrade them to level 5 in cities, but you can also build them in rural provinces, like I have done over here in Zuwara. In rural provinces, they are called local industry, and local industry you can upgrade to level 3. Level 3 local industry is also going to double your resource production every day, which is very good. So the first thing you should do when you start a new game is you should build 1 unit production building a city to save resources. There is no point in making 5 tank plants and 5 barracks, because you can only use 1 building at a time. Better to make 2 barracks, 2 tank plants, and to produce 24/7, because every resource that you use on an idle building is a wasted resource. You should try to play as efficiently as possible. Military production buildings, they only take 30 minutes to build. Afterwards, you're gonna build level 1 industry everywhere, which takes 15 hours. Afterwards, depending on your economy or your strategy, you're gonna favor some resources like I have done, where I have upgraded the industry straight away to level 2 for my goods and my oil. This setup is the perfect setup for early game economy. You're gonna build industry everywhere, upgrade it to level 2 where necessary, and the resources that you're gonna need a lot, like goods, I have already built a local industry as well. I'm gonna need a lot of goods for my tactic, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you in every game need to build industry and goods. I'm just doing it here in this game because it depends on my tactic. Alright, so we are day 4 now, well, almost day 5, but anyway, at day 4 there is an objective that you really should be able to make, and that is important. You should have your industry all level 2. Now for my tactic here in this specific game, I need a lot of goods, so it's already almost at level 5. Anyway, what you want in your game when day 4 starts is level 2 industry everywhere. And you also want to have recruitment centers level 2 in all your 5 cities as well, so that you won't struggle with manpower later on. Another thing to which you need to pay attention is that your military buildings here are level 2, because as you're gonna start researching, or you have already researched level 2 units, you also need to have the level 2 production building, or you're gonna get a production time penalty. I haven't built any propaganda offices yet, because for that it is way too early in the game. Why am I waiting with this? That is for the late game economy. Another thing that I did, what is very useful if you have a country like me with a lot of mountains, is a building infrastructure. When I zoom in here, you can see that there are railroads over here. This is infrastructure level 3. So I've built a railroad infrastructure here, a whole railroad line over here, and then also in this province right over here, from one side of my core provinces to the other side. This way I can mobilize my troops very fast. This also is very useful. We are now 5 hours into day 11, so it starts to become the late game. So let's see how my economy is doing now. All my industry is level 5. As I'm lacking food, I've also constructed industry here in Trabzon, even though it produces only at 25%. I rarely do this, but as I have too much oil, steel and rare resources, I can permit it because I need food. Also, my recruitment stations are all level 3, so that's maxed out. And now I am building also propaganda offices level 1. Why? Because you can see my morale trend is failing. I am expanding too fast and so I'm getting punished. So what I'm doing, I'm building now propaganda offices to counter this mechanism so that my morale can go up again. Because a propaganda office, they're gonna help you with your morale. You get a 10% morale increase on level 1 and they only take 3 hours to build. At level 2, you get 23% extra morale, and at level 3, 40%. So this is a great way to help you to get your morale high in your core provinces, because if you expand fast like me, your morale is going to go down, which means that you're gonna produce less resources. In my capital, for example, I am at 100% morale and I produce 11,684 resources. However, here at 94%, I only produce 11,451. So that's 230 resources less a day, and it's only gonna get worse. The second reason why you need to build propaganda offices is the further you move from your capital, the more morale problems you're gonna have. So at a certain point in the game, you're gonna want to move your capital out of your core provinces, and I could build it here, for example. I'm gonna build a capital here. It takes 12 hours, but my morale is low, so it takes much longer. Now, when the building is finished, my capital will move out of my core provinces over here to Lvov. However, once I move my capital, my morale is going to go down even more. And so when I move my capital, I'm gonna need propaganda offices level 3 to keep my economy high. I'm gonna need them not only in my cities, but also in all the provinces that produce resources here in my rural provinces. Spoken of those, I have in all my rural provinces now level 3 industry, so they're all maxed out. And as you can see, I've also built infrastructure level 3, which increases my unit speed with 200%, which is amazing. I've got them everywhere, also over here. This province doesn't produce resources. Provinces that don't produce resources produce more manpower. So here I'm building recruitment offices level 3. Here I don't, because they produce little to no manpower, only 146, which is not interesting. And so I'm doing this everywhere. I've also built a local port level 2 so that I can disembark faster when I wanted to go to Crimea. All these little things help. These are all the tools you have available to enhance your economy. So my economy now is almost maxed out. The only thing I need to do now is in certain provinces build recruitment offices, but I can't because I'm limited in goods and food production, and I need them to upgrade my units in this case. Another way to enhance your economy is through warfare. You may construct all the buildings that I've discussed so far, but if you're just gonna sit there and you're not gonna expand, you're still gonna have trouble with your economy. You still won't have the resources you need or the manpower to produce your units, and you will get defeated by other players who have expanded rapidly. Economy and warfare go hand in hand. Now this game is being played right now. It's my 1500 subscribers game, so I'm gonna have to blur out my units because otherwise all the other players on the map can see how many units I have and where they are, and it's almost day 8, so that would be a very bad idea. So if you can't see my units, don't worry, it is intentional. First thing you might notice is that in your core provinces over here in Quebec, the pink is just plain, and then over here you have all stripes in a degree angle, right? You can see it if I zoom out as well. This here is my core territory, the plain pink. The stripes is non-core territory. Now in core territory, you produce at 100%. For example, here in Sherbrooke, without any industry, I produce $900, 1,500 food, and 150 manpower a day. If I compare this to the province over here, Worcester, which is a non-core province, you can see that I produce only $225, 375 food, and 37 manpower. Why is this? Non-core territory only produces at 25%. So my province morale is 100%, just like in my core province, but it only produces at 25%. For this reason, it is not interesting to build industry in non-core territory, because it's gonna take 4 times longer for you to get a return of investment. Now, what is interesting is that every time you capture a province, like if you would capture Sherbrooke, for example, you get a half of the daily produced resources. So if you take this province, you would receive instantly $450 and 750 food. This is really interesting. That's why it's very interesting to attack the core provinces of another player, because they give a lot of resources. Today I have attacked Illinois over here, right? Now if your morale is lower than 25%, which means that you just have taken the province, or you took the province today, your morale is only 25% and it is flashing red. This means it risks revolting. A nice trick to know, however, is if you take a capital, which was in my case Indianapolis, you get an instant overall province morale increase of 10%, meaning that all these provinces here of 25% morale, they became 35% morale. 35 instead of 25. 35, 35. Over here only 25 because I just took it. Here also 25, but it's not flashing red because I have a garrison unit over here. If you have a garrison unit with a strength of more than 7, then your province is safe against revolts. Anyhow, what you need to remember is always expand through warfare, because you're gonna get a lot of resources from this. And when you take an enemy capital, not only do you get the 10% morale increase, not only do you get a half of the resources that are being produced there, you also receive a half of that player's money. So if he has, for example, $120,000 like me, you're going to receive instantly $60,000, which you can spend on the market, for example, to buy resources that you need. Attacking other players is a huge economical boost, so you always need to think about 2 things. You want to attack other players, both to capture those resources, to get those morale increases from the capitals. You want to lose as less units as possible by doing so that you don't have to replace them, because that's cost you resources as well. And you want to take as many capitals in a game as possible. That's why it's also interesting to attack small AI. All these non-core provinces here almost are all at 100%. Can you see? Now, it's basically simple. If you take out 4 players and all those provinces are at 100% morale, you're gonna produce the same as your core provinces, because 4 non-core countries that produce at 25%, that's 100% in total. So attack 4 players, get your capital at 100%, and your production has doubled. And if you combine this with upgrading your industry to maximum level, then you can quadruple your economy. That means that you can make 4 times more units than players who have not expanded. So if you want to be successful in this game, you need to be active, you need to expand, you need to pay attention to your economy, lose as less units as possible, reinvest the resources that you capture in your economy, and if you do all this, you're gonna struggle a lot less with manpower and with resources. This was it for this tutorial. If you have more questions about province morale and revolting, you can click the video right here in this link.